Hi there. Thanks for joining me here at Organize with Grace podcast. I'm Grace Rahman, your host. It's nice to be with you again, and thank you for taking the time to listen in. So, a couple of weeks ago, I talked about not feeling thankful during Thanksgiving, and I ended up actually making a list of the things that I was thankful for. And I came up with about maybe over 20 items. And so writing them down really got my thoughts going. And I realized that there is a lot of things to be grateful for, even in the middle of me not feeling thankful. So that was pretty cool. And it really got me ready for seeing a couple of family members during that time. So today, I want to talk to you and kind of continue along that same line of our thinking and feeling. And I wanted to talk about the stories we tell ourselves that helps shape our destiny. When I was deep in debt, I resorted to telling myself stories. I started to tell myself that I'll never get out of debt. What's the point of trying? Everyone else is in debt, so what does it matter? It's okay. I'll live with debt for the rest of my life and it's fine. I've allowed these types of thoughts to repeat in my head, and it only got me deeper into debt. Next thing you know, I continued to spend on credit day by day, not thinking it's a big deal. My thoughts or stories became words. My words became actions. My actions became my habits. And my habits became my values. And my values became my destiny. This saying is attributed to Gandhi, and it's true. It wasn't until I made a decision to break up with these stories in my head that helped me to change. Yes, I feel that I allowed myself to have a relationship with these stories. They were the thoughts I ran to when I was feeling bad about my debt to make me feel better. And I had to break up with them. And it was a bad breakup at first. It was a process, and I consciously stopped playing those narratives in my head and began to replace the stories with a new story that I can get out of debt. That debt is not beneficial to me, that it's actually hurting me. So with this short podcast, I have 3 points. Point 1, we have the power to believe anything that we tell ourselves over and over. There's a proverb that says, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." And then another quote that is attributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson says, "You are what you think about all day long." Now, let's switch gears and talk about decluttering and organizing and keeping in mind the stories we tell ourselves. Have you told yourself, "I'm so disorganized. I can never become organized. I'm always such a hot mess. I can never get it together. I wasn't born organized, so it is what it is. I don't even know where to start." Now, these thoughts, if you keep on believing them, well, they're eventually going to come true. It's what you believe and you think is what you act on. Now, don't ask me about all the research. I know there are lots of research and theories about belief and behavior, and I want to continue to dive into that in this podcast because I do believe that our beliefs and behavior shape our actions. So, point number 2, when we realize these old stories we tell ourselves, when we sit and take a hard look at them to find out if they're really true, we can begin to make changes. And getting real with ourselves will hurt, but it's temporary and you'll be okay. And let's talk reality though. I'm not going to believe my way to becoming the world's best skier. I'm not talking about that you can be anything you want to be. I personally don't believe in that, but I do believe that in our everyday lives, we have the ability to change the trajectory of our lives, like getting out of debt or getting organized. It's not an easy road. Anything that is worth the sacrifice is worth the pain. And no pain, no gain, right? That old statement. And point number 3, it's not too late to change. Even if you don't believe in yourself at first that you can change. So what about changing these narratives to this? I have the ability to learn to be more organized and to take action. Even if I'm not born organized, it's a learnable skill, and there are a lot of resources out there that can help me. Now, this thought is not formed in 1 minute. I get it. You can begin to change the narrative that you have always been telling yourself by just simply stopping to think about what you're thinking about. When you say, I am always such a hot mess, I can never get it together. Now, these always and never statements are very dangerous because is it really true that you are always a hot mess and that you can never get it together? Okay, one last quote from Henry Ford. It says, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." Again, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And this is so true because the moment you think something where you dismiss the thought, well, I can get out of debt. And if you start to think that, whatever, that's wishful thinking, then you've dismissed it and you move on with what you usually believe. So you believe you can't get out of debt, therefore you are not going to get out of debt. Your thoughts. The number one thing I want you to get out of this is that your thoughts are very powerful. Use it for your benefit, not for your detriment. And you have the power to change the narrative that has been getting in your way with whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish or change. We're getting into the end of the year. I know 2020 was a doozy. It doesn't need to derail our future. I know that we all have our own personal experiences with this year. You may have experienced, job loss or mental health issues or whatever it may be. I'm not discounting your experience that, you could just get up and start believing different things. I'm not trying to say that. What I am bringing out is that you have control over your thoughts and that there is a window of hope, of change. So as I end this episode, let me ask you a few things. What is playing again and again in your head about getting your home and yourself organized? Do the same thoughts play in your head a lot that you don't even notice it because that narrative has been there for so long? What stories are you allowing to influence your life, keeping you stuck with your home organizing projects and time management? What are you feeding your mind these days? Are you defeating yourself before you even begin? So if you can, ask yourself these questions. Take 5 minutes of your busy day to do so. And I do believe what you'll find is that these stories are really shaping your everyday activities. And if you want further help on this, hey, contact me and we can talk about it. But I hope that this information that I provided for you about your beliefs and the stories you tell yourself is helpful to try to realize, wow, these stories that I've told myself all these years is really shaping my destiny, but I can change. So I hope that this episode was helpful to you and enjoyable. Let me know what you think. You can connect with me on Instagram at Organize with Grace or Facebook, if that's what you prefer, at Organize with Grace FB. Until next time, have a wonderful day.